Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Love and Lore podcast. In today's episode, I will be sharing with you guys my experience auditioning for a play all by myself and everything that I learned from it, and also just talking about how I found out about the play, the acceptance, the rehearsals, the people, and just really cool things that I got to do because of it, and just some other fun things from that experience. This was my first ever kind of big extracurricular after high school, so this was a really big deal to me and a big part of my uni experience. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoy today's episode. I've talked about theater a lot on my podcast and how it shaped me and has helped me build so much confidence. And yeah, just to reiterate for those of you guys who don't know, I used to be very shy and very awkward when I first got into high school, literally no social skills whatsoever. And then drama class happened. I chose drama as my elective, and long story short, loved it, and then became part of the theater company. And I was just overall really involved in the drama department. I got a scholarship from the Theater Association. I loved it so much. I knew that after high school, I wanted to involve myself in theater in some way, shape, or form, and I just never found anything. I go to SFU, for those of you who don't know, and I had no idea about anything theater related. I tried to look into it, but I didn't know much about it, and I didn't know where to look. And there were no theater clubs or drama clubs offered when I first came to uni, so I was a bit bummed out by that because I still wanted to keep that part of me alive. Yeah, so when I saw the audition post for this, I was like, oh my god, let me do it. So yeah, I was on Instagram one day. It was actually my first year. It was my first year spring semester. It was spring 2023. I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw a posting for this audition. It was for the Live Acts Festival for the School of Contemporary Arts at SFU. And I was like, oh my god, wait, let me literally do this because I've been trying to find something like this for so long now. So long meaning it's only been one semester, let's be real. But yeah, I was just really excited. So I immediately went to the little Google Forms, and then I realized that I was late to submit it. And I was like, oh my god, no, I can't submit it. And I was kind of sad because I was really excited to be a part of it. I actually ended up DMing the people behind the account if I could still submit my application. And it's so funny because I think they actually ended up extending the deadline, or they just let me submit an application. I don't remember what happened, but I just remember being able to submit my application and I was so excited, guys. And mind you guys, my only sort of theater background at this point was just high school. So I was basing my expectations for this just straight up from high school. And that ended up being really funny because I thought that this would be like a high school audition. Like there would be so many people and there would be so many people of all majors. I thought it would be just people kind of like me, not super big on college theater. I mean, I did have a pretty strong background, but nothing too intense. So yeah, I just thought I would meet a lot of people like me, not that experienced with college theater, and yeah, I really set the bar not super high. So yeah, keep that in mind. My expectations were just straight off from high school auditions and high school theater, okay? Okay, so now came audition day. Before the actual day of the audition, I thought that the auditions would be held in the Burnaby campus. I was even like, what room would they use for these auditions? And the audition was also pretty late at night. I think it was like around 6, 7 p.m. ish. So I was like, you know what, that's fine. Like, I can just stay on campus until 6 or 7 in the evening. Lo and behold, it was not in Burnaby, it was in the downtown campus. It was in Hastings, and I've never been there before. I knew that we had a downtown campus. I just I was just caught off guard because I was like, oh, okay, so now I have to go to Hastings. And at this time, I was still so young and I didn't know. I was still pretty anxious about using Google Maps and all that and just navigating where to go all by myself. So this was already like a really big step for me, but I took this as an opportunity to learn, and I ended up being able to find a way there. And it's actually really easy. It's just literally one bus all the way to Hastings. But yeah, I got to learn that from that experience, which is nice. But yeah, I just remember being so nervous on the day of audition. I was nervous and excited. I was low-key crashing out the entire day. I couldn't stop thinking about it. But again, mix of nerves and excitement. Fun fact, I actually dropped my phone in the toilet that day, and it was literally horrific. Oh my God, I remember the exact washroom it was. It was the one right across Renaissance Cafe. Yeah, that was a little traumatizing. But yeah, I remember having class that day and then going straight to the bus and going all the way down to Hastings. And I remember like thinking that this would be a really big audition. Remember, like I said, I thought it was gonna be like a high school audition and there's gonna be so many people. So when I was on the bus and I saw other kids going on the bus, I was like, are these people going to the audition too? Like, this is kind of crazy. Like, we're all going here together. Like, these might be my future castmates. So yeah, I was going through all the motions, and I remember getting off the bus and not knowing where to go or how to enter. Mind you, this is my first ever time being here. Um, my first ever time in Hastings by myself, period. And it was also like 6 or 7 p.m. And it was during like early January, and it was dark and it was scary. I remember putting my location on and having my friend track where I was just to help me. I even called her and we like navigated it together. And I ended up finding the entrance, which took a bit, but I made it on time and I was so nervous. Again, I was expecting so many people, but entering the campus, there was no one. It was literally, I just remember the security guard just being there, and that was like my one interaction going into the audition room. So that was quite funny. And then I got to the audition room and I already saw the auditions going on because there were different time slots. I already saw the people in there doing their rehearsals, or not rehearsals, their auditions, and I immediately thought like, "Oh my God, these people are not just random students. These are literal theater kids. Like these people study theater here at this school. Like no wonder why the auditions are in this campus." And I was like, okay, the competition. Like this is who I'm up against. There's no way. There's no way I'm getting in. And I got really nervous, but again, I was still really excited. Like you never know, maybe there were people like me who weren't that experienced, but I just remember thinking like, okay, I'm cooked. Like this is it." And another thing was there was not a lot of people too. I was expecting like at least 50 people. There were probably like 5 to 6 people per audition group. And it was very small, very intimate. And I was like, okay, this is kind of serious. Like I did not think this would happen. But you know what? I was already there and I thought, the fact that I'm even here, the fact that I even auditioned and showed up just shows that, no matter what happens, I should still be proud of myself and yeah, I would only benefit from this experience moving forward. So, yeah, my little group of people, everyone was so talented. I think every single one of them had some sort of theater background in uni, and I was the only one that didn't have any uni theater background. And yeah, I was up against a lot of really good people, and they were all so talented, but also so kind. I felt so welcomed, and I just felt like I did belong. I really did feel welcomed, and no one really cared if you didn't have any experience. No one cared, and I don't think anyone even asked. Or if they did ask, they were just all so interested in what you had to say. I remember being in a little circle before the audition began, and we were just talking to each other and getting to know each other, and everyone was just sharing their stories. And I remember just feeling so welcomed. And I was even talking about my own stuff in high school, and they were also interested. And yeah, it was just not scary at all, and I loved everyone already. I knew that no matter what happened, no matter how stressed I was, everyone was supportive and everyone was on your side, and we were all in this together. And that's something I really like about theater is that no one discriminates and no one judges you. No matter what your experience is, no matter if you mess up or not, it's a very welcoming environment and people don't judge you. And there's even the saying that, people who are better than you or people with more experience will never talk down on someone who's trying. So that was also a really comforting and reassuring thought. But yeah, so auditions began and we just played a lot of really, really easy drama games and icebreakers and yeah, just really easy and fun activities. I had so much fun. I remember we had to do this one improv game and I just remember laughing so much. Like I was literally breaking character. It was not good. I couldn't focus. I just had so much fun. And Yeah, it was very like low stakes, very comforting, and yeah, I just had a lot of fun doing it. And then there was actually also this one little game where we had to pass on a prompt to the next person in like a lineup. And the prompt that I got was, it was written on a piece of paper. It was giving birth to 1,000 kids. And I had to on the spot do that. And I was like, this is so out of my comfort zone. But I ended up making it happen. I don't know how I did it, but I just pulled out every ounce of confidence in me and I birthed 1,000 kids in front of all these strangers. I remember after the audition, it was late and my parents picked me up and went home. And it was nice. I had a great time. I felt really good when I got home. You know, even if I didn't make it, I was still proud of myself for even showing up. All right, so now for the acceptance. Honestly, guys, I didn't really think I would get accepted because I didn't think I did a great job in the audition, let's be real. I was breaking character, I was laughing, and I just felt like my performance wasn't as great as everyone, but there was still this tiny piece of hope in me and just this gut feeling that I would get in. Okay, like even if it was a small role, I would still be super, super happy. But definitely wasn't, my expectations were not super high, okay? And then something magical happened one day and I got the acceptance email. I remember seeing a unfamiliar name in my inbox and I was like, wait, this might be it, guys. And it was my director. She emailed me and laid out all the details moving forward, rehearsal dates, show dates, my roles, and just all the typical information. I was so excited reading that email. I was so excited, guys. I was ready to commit to this. And fun fact, I was actually given two roles. Now, this was crazy to me because I did not think I'd even get one. And I was just like, wow, like what did she see in me, you know? So yeah, I told my parents, I was very happy, and I was just so excited. So moving on to the play itself and the rehearsals and the people and everything, overall had an amazing time. I was so excited for every single rehearsal. It was in the Hastings campus. It was in that exact same audition room. It was once a week at I think it was like 7 to 9 p.m. and every time it was rehearsal day, I would be so excited. I remember I had class and then just went straight to rehearsal right after class. It worked out well for my schedule actually, so and the transit was not that bad. Again, it was just one bus and it was really, really easy. But yeah, obviously being around the Hastings area, it was pretty scary and pretty dangerous, especially at night. If you guys live in Vancouver, you guys know what I'm talking about. But I was just so excited to be there. I made sure to show up no matter what. Now, the cast itself, there was actually not that many of us. It was me and three other actors, and then our director. And then sadly, one of our actors had to leave the play. So it was just me and two other actors and my director. But my director, so awesome. She ended up actually jumping in. So she was acting and directing at the same time, which is honestly insane. And she also handmade our costumes, which is also so cool. Shout out to her if she's listening to this, you know who you are. The play itself was a Czech folklore play. It involved a lot of movement and self interpretation, forests, and it was definitely something I've never done before. In high school, the plays that we did were very much more like a lot of lines and humor and there's a lot going on. And there was also a lot more people in my high school plays. So yeah, this was very, very different. But I was up for the challenge and it was so cool that I got to learn Czech and that I got to experiment and play around with all this movement and these contemporary pieces. My castmates were also so incredibly kind and sweet and welcoming. If any of you guys are listening, hey, you guys are awesome and I hope you guys are doing so good. Yeah, I felt so honored to be in their presence. Like they are so talented. The first ever thing that I had to memorize was a movement piece. I had to learn some choreography, which was really awesome, some contemporary style choreography, which is pretty cool. And my first few lines were in Czech. So I had to learn Czech, and I'm pretty sure every single one of my lines were some sort of monologue, pretty lengthy monologues. And at first, I was pretty intimidated because I did not know how I was going to memorize these monologues. Like, they were pretty long, but I managed to pull it off, which is pretty cool. I think we had a total of 2 to 3 months worth of rehearsals, and when I tell you guys that time flew by so fast, it really flew by so incredibly fast. And I think I just had so much fun doing it. I didn't even realize that, it was just over that quickly. Like I mentioned, this was during the spring semester, And it was also snowing a lot during this time. So yeah, the road conditions were really slippery and really bad. And it was kind of tricky because the campus was so far from me. And I remember specifically there were a few mornings where it was just so snowy and my parents drove me to rehearsals and it was so hard to get the car to move. This one specific memory, I will never forget this. It was this one rehearsal. It was a super important rehearsal, basically a dress rehearsal, and the road conditions were just so bad. I remember going up this one hill. My poor dad, he was trying his best to get up this hill, and the car was literally wiggling left and right going up this hill. And I thought we were going to get into a car accident. I'm not going to lie. I thought we were going to either roll down the hill and crash or, I don't know, like run into another car. Like, it was bad. But I just remember being so determined to get to rehearsal no matter what. I did not want to let anyone down. But yeah, that was a pretty funny memory. But yeah, week by week, we had rehearsals. We became closer as a cast. It was a pretty small cast, so we all got along really well and we were all able to get really close. And yeah, I just had so much fun. So now I'm going to get into the actual show nights. I think there were 2 to 3, and they were great. Like, honestly, it was a really good time. It was super fun, and it was a live acts festival, right? So there were different plays, and my play was like the second to last one for each show night. And oh my gosh, I didn't write this in my notes, but we were all instructed to stay in this one room where we all got ready. All the makeup was laid out, or not laid out, we brought our own makeup, but it was the room where all the actors just chilled and waited before their show started. I remember walking into that room and just feeling so like, what the heck? Like, I'm like, this is crazy. Everyone was on the floor putting on makeup, everyone was in their costumes. It was just a surreal feeling because I can't believe I'm surrounded by so many talented people, you know? Like, how am I in their presence right now? But yeah, there was just so much people and so much going on. And yeah, I remember being on the floor doing my makeup and having my costume all laid out and getting to talk to my cast members and just chilling before the show. And it was overall really good vibes, but I was also low key intimidated because there were just so many, like, like so many talented people. And since this was a SFU contemporary arts sort of production, a lot of the actors were students in the contemporary arts program and they all kind of knew each other already. That's something I didn't address in the beginning. They all, like, most of these people knew each other already, so that was another thing that scared me. But again, I didn't feel as if it was like that. Like, everyone was just so kind. I remember talking to the sweetest people ever, and everyone is just so welcoming. When it came to the actual performance, it all went really well, actually. I didn't forget any lines, except it was during the final night. My parents were in the audience, and I left out one entire line of my monologue. Um, but I don't think anyone noticed. But yeah, I did forget one line, but that's okay. That's okay. We made it out alive. And another sort of malfunction happened where it was the first night and my costume, okay, my pants were literally falling off. They were literally falling off. Luckily, I was wearing spandex, but girl, they were falling off. And it's just funny because my first appearance in the show, it was a movement piece and I rotate in all different angles. You could see every angle of me, and everyone totally knew that my pants were falling off, okay? And it was the first night as well, so everything just felt, a little bit more trickier. It was kind of like an adjustment period for us. So yeah, that was embarrassing, but it's okay. They didn't fall completely off, but you could tell. It's so funny too because the following show night, one of the actors came up to me from a different play. He told me that he noticed that my pants were falling off. He was like, "Oh, was that part of the play?" And like, I noticed your pants were, coming off. And I remember saying like, "Yeah," and all this stuff. And he said, "Well, you pulled it off really well. Like you made it seem so seamless, and that just meant the world to me." I was like, "Oh my God, coming from you?" Like, I was like, "What? This is crazy. Like, thank you so much." And yeah, because I did play two different characters, I had to do a bunch of different quick changes. And I remember those were stressing me out a lot because I had to remember a lot of different places to stand and get changed. And my co actors had to help me change a bunch of different times. And the pieces were very fragile and they were very intricate. And I was so scared that I was either going to rip the costume or that I was going to miss a time cue. and being on this part of the stage at a certain time in this outfit, and just a lot of things were at risk of going wrong. But yeah, luckily nothing bad happened at all. I remember the second night was flawless. It was perfect. All my quick changes were literally perfect. And yeah, we ate. We literally ate. I also remember having this one scene where I was on the couch knitting, and I was a little bit anxious for this one because during the dress rehearsal, I remember doing the knitting scene, and my yarn was just a mess. Like, it was a mess. Everything was so tangled, and it was stuck under this chair, and I had to leave the stage, but the yarn was all over the floor, and it was so hard for me to clean it up. But yeah, I was pretty nervous about the knitting part, but it turned out really, really well. And yeah, we ended up doing such a good job, and it was a great experience overall. The audience size was just your typical like black box theater audience size. It was a pretty small audience, which was great because, not that much pressure. And yeah, everything just felt so professional, and yeah, overall really, really cool experience. It was so funny because I think the first show night it also happened to be the day of one of my final exams, so I had to reschedule that final, but it was okay. So yeah, we finished all our show nights, and I remember on the last show night, we actually went to Turquoise Goat together. It was right across the campus, so it was really convenient, and it was nighttime. It was such a vibe. For those of you who don't know, Turquoise Goat is a game board sort of cafe, super vibrant and colorful, and it's not open anymore, which I'm so sad about. And yeah, I suggested we go there. It was super convenient, super close, and we all had such a good time. I also remember even before the play, we were in this one makeup room and we were getting ready, and I remember my director giving us flowers and cards, and yeah, that was a really nice memory of all of us being in that little room together. So yeah, wrapped up the show, said our goodbyes, and just like that, the Spring Live Acts Festival was done. So yeah, that was an amazing experience, and just some overall lessons I've learned from that is to just go for it. Literally just go for it. Like I said, I was looking for some sort of theater opportunity, and as soon as I saw the audition form on Instagram, I just immediately went for it. And another amazing thing is I got the privilege of playing two different roles, and something that I want to share about this, a really important lesson, is that it's actually something that my high school drama teacher told me, or told our class, was that, the thing about rejection and getting rejected from plays is that most of the time it's not because you're a bad actor, but it's because you just didn't fit the part into a specific role. It's rarely ever about you. Like I said, I barely had any experience, and I was genuinely wondering what my director saw in me to give me these roles. And I think it was just, all the matter of the fact that she had a vision for these characters, and I happened to fit them. And yeah, it just again goes to show that, it's always worth the shot, it's always worth the try. And I bet if my director wasn't there and this play wasn't part of the festival, I don't think any of the other directors would have chosen me for their plays. So it was all a matter of just her being there and her play being there and her vision for these characters. Just, I guess she just saw me in those characters. So that's pretty awesome. I also just learned how talented everyone is. Like, everyone's just seriously so amazing and so incredible. Like, my director hand sewn all our costumes and showed up. I remember she would show up to rehearsals carrying huge, huge bags of fabrics and costume pieces, and in the snow as well. Just so talented. And my co-actors, they were also incredibly talented. I got to learn so much from them and about the different programs in the school, and I got to even explore the Hastings campus, and it was just a really eye-opening experience. I've also learned that, for me personally, like the fact that I decided to even show up to the rehearsals despite how bad the snow was and the road conditions, how bad they were, like, it just shows that I'm willing to show up for something that I'm passionate about, that I will do whatever it takes to show up because I'm so passionate about this. If I wanted to, I would, basically. This experience also taught me the basics of knitting. It also taught me some basic Czech language and lines. Also, towards the end of the festival, like when rehearsals were starting to wrap up and show nights were coming. The program was also filming a really cool, like, really professional cinematic type documentary style promotion. I don't know what they were doing, but they were doing something really professional. And they were interviewing different castmates and they were making really cool cinematic shots of everything. And I remember being interviewed by the camera person, and he was interviewing everyone in our cast and just asking us questions about our play and our experience, and I got to be a part of it. And it was so cool that, I was basically being interviewed like documentary style. Like, I cannot believe that I'm in this. Like, this is so fun. I remember watching those clips back and just it looked so professional and it felt like I was in a TV show, like for real. We also needed headshots and some like visual components for the play, and we had a really professional photo shoot in the forest. We had like a whole photographer come in and we wore our costumes literally in the forest, and it just felt so professional. So I got to experience that, which is pretty cool. My hair was also really short at this time, so like looking back at the photos, it's like, wow, I cannot believe my hair used to look like that. And yeah, again, I got to meet just really amazing people. From the people that I got to act with, my director, the people behind the production, the people who critiqued us and came to watch our rehearsals, and really supportive audience members, people that are part of the contemporary arts program, all the other casting directors that I met during rehearsals. Everyone was just so awesome. So yeah, those were the really, really cool opportunities I got to have because of this experience and just overall lessons. Like I said, just go for it because it's always worth the shot. You never know what's going to come out of it. And even if you don't get in, if you audition for something, that's okay because all that matters is that you still showed up. We are nearing the end of the episode, but I just wanted to touch on some final few things. The play actually had a rerun, I believe last year. God, that was so long ago. But yeah, it was done last year, and I was not a part of it this time. I just had a lot of things going on, but I was able to come to the show and watch it with my friends. And it was so cool because I got to see everyone again. And also, just seeing the play from an audience perspective was so cool because, yes, I know that line and I know that they were supposed to go here and I know this time blocking and everything. They even gave me a little shout out when they were answering their questions at the end of the show. Yeah, it made me feel really appreciated and loved, and it was so fun. And yeah, overall, this was such an amazing experience. Just overall wrapping it up with some final lessons. Just go for it, right? You never know what's going to come out of it. I got to meet the most talented, amazing people. It gave me so much confidence, especially as a first year student. It gave me a bit more clarity if I wanted to pursue this as a career one day or if I want to do more college theater in the future. I got to talk to amazing people from the industry and I got to learn more about SFU's programs, and just being part of a show again just felt so amazing because honestly, after high school, I was just worried that I was never going to have some sort of theater experience again. So, yeah. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode. I hope that you guys took away something from this episode, or if not, I just hope you had a good time listening to my experience. Again, if you have a passion for something or if you want to just simply try something out, there's no reason to not go for it, right? And no matter what, you will take away something great from it. So, and before we end it off, I noticed that I never said the name of the play, but the play was called Cloaks, and I played the red knit cloak and the pink knit cloak. Thank you again so much for listening to this episode if you made it to the end, and I will see you guys in the next episode.